You have done it again. You sabotaged something good. You pushed away someone who cared. You made a decision you knew was wrong while you were making it. You repeated a pattern you promised yourself you would never repeat. And you don't fully understand why. You are not stupid. You are not weak. You are not broken. But something keeps happening beneath the surface. Something you cannot see. Something you cannot control. Something Carl Jung identified almost a century ago. Your shadow. In part 1, we covered what the shadow is and how it forms. Today, we go deeper. Today, I show you exactly how your shadow is showing up in your life right now. In your relationships. In your career. In the patterns you cannot seem to escape. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will recognize yourself uncomfortably clearly. Stay with me. Welcome back. If you watched part 1 and came back for this, hit that like button right now and stay until the very end, because this is the part where it gets really specific. In part 1, we established the foundation. The shadow is the collection of everything you pushed down. Everything you were told was unacceptable. Everything you learned to hide from others and from yourself. And we established that the shadow does not disappear. It goes underground. It grows. And it finds ways to run your life while you remain completely unaware. Today, I give you the 6 most common ways the shadow destroys lives. 6 patterns you will recognize. In yourself. In the people around you. In the relationships you cannot seem to fix. Shadow pattern 1. You destroy what you love most. The first pattern is the most devastating. You finally get something you have been working toward. A relationship that feels real. A career opportunity that matters. A version of your life that actually feels right. And then, you burn it down. You pick a fight that doesn't need to happen. You make a decision that makes no logical sense. You do the exact thing you knew would push them away. And afterward, you ask yourself, why do I always do this? Here is Jung's answer. Your shadow contains a belief, a deep unconscious belief that you do not deserve this, that good things are not safe, that happiness is temporary, that the other shoe always drops. And your shadow makes sure it does, by your own hand, before anyone else can take it from you. Shadow pattern 2. You are attracted to people who mirror your shadow. The second pattern explains your entire relationship history. The people you are most intensely drawn to are almost always people who embody something from your shadow. If you have suppressed your wildness, you fall for someone chaotic and unpredictable. If you have suppressed your vulnerability, you fall for someone emotionally unavailable, because pursuing them lets you feel without admitting you feel. If you have suppressed your anger, you attract angry people. The second pattern explains your entire relationship history. The people you are most intensely drawn to are almost always people who embody something from your shadow. If you have suppressed your wildness, you fall for someone chaotic and unpredictable. If you have suppressed your vulnerability, you fall for someone emotionally unavailable, because pursuing them lets you feel without admitting you feel. If you have suppressed your anger, you attract angry people, and then wonder why there is always so much conflict. Jung called this the anima and animus projection. The unconscious projects its own qualities onto another person and mistakes that projection for love. This is why some relationships feel so intensely magnetic and so completely destructive simultaneously. You are not falling in love with a person. You are falling in love with your own shadow, wearing their face. Shadow pattern 3. You judge others for what you secretly do yourself. The third pattern is the one that makes people most uncomfortable. The things you judge most harshly in others are almost always things you do yourself, in ways you cannot see or refuse to acknowledge. The person who constantly calls others fake performs a version of themselves for every room they enter. The person who cannot stand selfishness in others makes quietly selfish decisions every single day. The person who judges everyone for their ego has an ego they have simply learned to disguise as something more acceptable. Jung called this the morality trap of the shadow. The louder and more persistent your judgment of someone else, the more likely it is that you are judging a part of yourself, the part you pushed into the shadow, the part you cannot afford to see. We are halfway through, and part 3 is where I give you Jung's exact method to work with your shadow. And finally, stop these patterns for good. Subscribe right now so you don't miss it. Shadow pattern 4. You overreact, and you know it. The fourth pattern is one everyone has experienced. Someone says something, does something, a small thing, an objectively small thing, and your reaction is completely disproportionate. You know it in the moment. You feel the overreaction happening and you cannot stop it. This is your shadow speaking. When a reaction is disproportionate to its trigger, it is almost never about the trigger. It is about what the trigger touched. Something old, something unresolved, something sitting in your shadow that has never been properly processed. The colleague who took credit for your work. The parent who dismissed you. The partner who didn't show up when you needed them. These are not new wounds. They are old wounds, being reopened by current events. And until the original wound is addressed, the overreaction will keep coming. Shadow pattern 5. You play a role instead of living a life. The fifth pattern is the most quietly devastating. You have spent so long hiding parts of yourself that you have built an entire identity around what remains. The strong one who never needs help. The successful one who never struggles. The happy one who never breaks down. The selfless one who never wants anything for themselves. And you play this role so well that most people believe it, including sometimes yourself. But the shadow holds everything the role excludes. The weakness, the struggle, the pain, the need, the desire, and carrying this gap between who you present yourself to be and who you actually are is one of the most exhausting things a human being can do. Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear for the world, and he warned clearly, the bigger the persona, the darker the shadow. Shadow pattern 6. You sabotage your own growth. And here is the sixth and most insidious pattern. Every time you get close to real change, something stops you. You start the project and abandon it. You begin the therapy and find a reason to quit. You make the decision and then unmake it. You get close to the version of yourself you want to become and then pull back. This is the shadow protecting itself, because real growth requires integrating the shadow, looking at the parts of yourself you have been avoiding, acknowledging what you have been denying, and the shadow does not want to be seen. It has been hidden for a reason. It was pushed down because it felt unsafe to express. And it will resist every serious attempt to bring it into the light. This is why growth is so hard. Not because you are not capable, but because part of you is actively working against it. Here are the 6 ways Carl Jung's shadow destroys lives. You destroy what you love most. You are attracted to people who mirror your shadow. You judge others for what you secretly do yourself. You overreact, and you know it. You play a role instead of living a life, and you sabotage your own growth. None of these make you a bad person. Every single one of them makes you human. But here is what Jung understood. An unexamined shadow does not stay still. It grows. It runs more and more of your life. It makes more and more of your decisions, until the day you decide to look at it. And that day is the beginning of everything. In part 3, I give you Jung's exact method for doing exactly that. The shadow work, the specific practices, the way through. Subscribe right now so you don't miss part 3. It is the most important part of the series, and the one that actually changes something. See you there.